Have a comment on this video you want me or my guest to answer on a future video? Call the show, 732-965-8773, or send an audio file to RutgersKevShow@gmail.com. This has been a fantastic episode to make. I hope you enjoy. Broadcasting live to tape from beautiful Omaha, Nebraska, where on a clear night you can almost see the 1999 European Formula Ford champion, the 2003-2004 V8 Supercars champion with 28 wins and 66 podiums, the two-time Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series winner with 46 top 10s, five-time NASCAR Xfinity Series winner, 18 top 10s, and a guy with 2,500 road iRating that likes to make YouTube videos. It's the RutgersKev Show! Hello, everybody. We're here at Brands Hatch. Somebody saw my YouTube video yesterday and suggested that I really need some tips and offering to give me some advice, and hopefully everybody else can take this advice and use it to become a better driver. So let's see who's here. Mic check.
G'day, Kevin. It's Marcus from Australia, mate. I've been watching your YouTube channel and your podcast and realised you've been having a bit of trouble getting around Brands Hatch. So, as a former driving instructor around the track, I thought I'd give you some tips.
Well, Marcus Ambrose, everybody. Okay, so I believe we're going to hop in Marcus's car, and he's going to take us around the track. I have to exit out of my car.
Yeah, so you wouldn't believe it, Kev, but I'm actually a fan of yours. The whole why me thing is actually a lot of fun, and in racing there's a lot of why me moments.
Yeah, I would imagine, but unfortunately when you say why me to yourself, it's not over the national radio.
Yeah, there you go. So this is Druids up here. I believe this is the slowest corner on the track. Just under the bridge you want to be hitting the brakes pretty hard. It's an uphill braking zone, and you actually can brake really late for that corner. You've got to be careful though, you don't slide off the inside apex back there. So you want to be on those rumble strips all the way around. This corner here on new tyres, you can short shift to second. It's a real tricky little corner, this one, because when the tyres get old, you can actually run out to third. It's about flowing speed through this one, mate. You want to come right out here, there's no penalty out on that stuff. And then we're coming to this little section here. It's a bit of a kidney shape. It's not actually a straight line. So as you're braking, the back end wants to cut loose here, as you know. You've got to be really careful on this one. It's all about not overdriving the entry and getting a really solid exit.
So what gear through there? Do you go down to first?
No, second. One of the mistakes a lot of people make is just flicking too many gears. And so I like to actually use a taller gear and have less gear shifts. It's easier on the tyres, and it's also just easier to manage. So I'll run second gear that corner before, and this one here I'll downshift to fourth. These corners here, it's really easy to actually brake too deep and go too deep, and people have a real habit of either being on the brake or being on the gas pedal. This corner here is a classic example where you can actually get off the brake early, float through the middle of the corner, carry a lot of mid-corner speed, and then just gradually creep the throttle on coming off. You look after your tyres more, you'll have less incidents, and you'll just get less tyre heat build up as well.
So would you only start to brake now? Because I was braking all the way back at the 50 sign.
Oh no, you're definitely braking early. I generally brake earlier than most in real racing and in the sim. And try and float across the middle of the corner. So there's a period of time where you don't want to be on the brake, you don't want to be on the gas, you just want to be sort of naturally rolling through the corner, what a lot of people call a four-wheel drift. So this corner up here is similar, a bit tricky though. I'm actually more on the inside. If you take the normal line on the outside, it's a constant bend, and it's really easy to lock the tyres up if you're not braking a straight line. Tyres do not like to do two things at once. They don't like to brake and turn, or they don't like to power and turn. So the straighter you can brake the car, the better off the tyres will be for you. And that corner there is pretty tricky because it feels like you're going at it dead straight, but you've got a constant bend on the way into it. This one here, on new tyres, definitely can run second. Most of the time I'll run third, just to reduce the gear shift. This here is one of those examples where you can brake really early and float across the middle of the corner. So I'll brake early, off the brake almost now, try and roll, float across, let the car come out, and I'll be creeping the power on out on this line. So we'll pick it up a little bit and we'll just get a bit more momentum. You can see what it's all about, mate. Okay, so I'm floating, now hard on the power.
And not drifting wide at all. So you really want to hug this here, huh?
I'm sorry that again.
You really want to hug that inside. I was kind of drifting out and going in.
No, really try and hug it. And this one here, you'll notice I just float the corners quite a bit. So as we pick up the speed again, you'll see there's a period of time where I get off the brake.
Much sooner on the brakes than me, much more floaty, like you were saying. I was more stop and go.
Yeah, so just in general, mate, all I try to do is brake as straight as I can. That first corner up on top of the hill, that's a classic example where if you actually follow the normal racing line, you'll be turning and braking and just create a lot of drama for yourself. So I actually just try and brake straight where I can, even if I'm off the ultimate racing line at the start of the brake zone. Let's just go back to the pits.
Well, the only corner that you didn't take at speed was that last one. So could you just go out and make that left-hander at the bottom of the hill there? I don't know the corner names.
Yeah, sure. Do you want me to do a full lap for you?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, without me talking. Because the only time that you went around a speed, that I interrupted you on that corner.
10-4.
Fourth gear. I was going down the third gear there. Look how much he sticks to the inside here versus how far out I went. That was deep. This is great stuff, guys. How lucky are we? How lucky are we that we get real-life drivers like this to teach us how to drive iRacing? This is amazing. And if you don't know, Marcus is a Formula champion, Formula Ford. Instructor at Brands Hatch in real life. Obviously, very, very accomplished road racer. 2 NASCAR wins, should be a lot more. Both at the Glen. Now, one thing to consider is Marcus is an Australian. We're in a U.S. server, so there's going to be a little bit of ping. So we're not going to see his inputs exactly as smooth. Yeah, look how he never even comes close to the grass. I was flirting with the grass every single lap there. Didn't shift. I was shifting. Nice.
How does that compare to what you've been doing before there?
Well, I noticed through the whole second half of the lap, you were not even close to the grass on the outside of the corners, where I was flirting with disaster almost every corner. Yeah, much more smoother.
Yeah, so, I mean, a couple of things here which are really important. One is with an open setup, you can set the car up to be whatever you like. So my general trend in iRacing, and real racing is obviously, you know, a little bit different to iRacing. There's tricks of the trade in setting cars up on iRacing, but a general rule of thumb is I like to set my car up so it will turn when I'm off the brake pedal. So this car here, your setup that you sent me, it's pretty tight. So I'd be looking to free the car up on my corner entries, so I could get off the brake pedal and just roll into the corner with the car still turning for me. That's what I would be looking to do if I was looking to set up a car here for the race. But it's all about the tyres, mate. So the tyres, you know, it's the only bit of the car that's touching the ground. You could have the wing angle, whatever you want. You can have the ride heights, whatever you want. But at the end of the day, the only bit that touches the racetrack are the four tyres, and they're the things that you've got to look after the most. And like I said earlier, tyres generally don't like to brake and turn or turn and accelerate. So the front tyres get stressed out when you brake too deep and you've got too much wheel in it and you don't trail brake enough because you're just generating heat. And the sim, the iRacing sim, does a really good job, I think, of mimicking, you know, that effect of real life racing and crossing it over into the sim as well. So for me, I like to set my cars up a bit freer on the corner entry to just manage those tyres and look after the tyres. The other thing that happens too, when you brake early and float across the middle, it gives you a chance to actually correct the car if it starts to slide, because you've got less inputs, or you've got more options to either dab the brake or touch the throttle or whatever you've got to do to react to it in the middle of the corner. So it's all, for me, this game's all about the tyres, and in real racing too, it's all about the tyres, you know. So I really focus hard on that, and I actually changed my driving style to suit that as well. So I try and brake straight if I can. If a corner presents itself that you can't, you know, you have to turn and brake at the same time. You use a lot of trail braking as best you can, especially while you've got downforce in the car at the high speeds. But when you get down to those slower speeds, just got to really manage your brake pedal. And I try and really just be disciplined on getting off the brake pedal and letting the car roll across the middle of the corner as best I can.
So I actually can't show this setup because it's from Craig's Setup Shop. But if you take a quick look at the setup, what would you change? What would be the first thing you would change to free it up?
Well, we'll have a better look at that in a second. I haven't even looked at it here, so let's have a quick gander. The first thing I'd do would probably be taking some diff preload off it, and I'd be taking some wing angle off it.
All right.
And I'd be getting, I mean, that's just general. But I'm no setup expert, so I don't set cars up in the game. I just, you know, with kids and life and everything getting in the way, it just takes a lot of time to set cars up. So I tend to, you know, pinch a baseline setup from someone and just change a few clicks here or there. So I'm certainly no expert on setting cars up, but generally, you know, the car that I just drove then, I'd be looking to make it a bit freer on the entries.
Well, if anybody else is like Marcus and doesn't have time to set up cars, I recommend Craig's Setup Shop. Find it at craigsetupshop.com. Not a sponsor, but a plug.
There you go. So I want to follow you, I reckon, and we'll see what's going on. What do you think?
Ready to go. So you want me to go like at speed? Boy, this is pressure. See, I'm all slidey through there, so I'm using too much throttle.
I'll just give the tyres a chance to warm up, get dialed in here.
Trying to do your floaty thing.
Brake a bit earlier.
Oh boy. Hey, I want to follow you now. Okay. Hey, I just passed Marcus Ambrose, guys. I was in the wrong gear there.
Yeah, this set here, it's a bit awkward between second and third, isn't it, that one?
Yeah, I know from my race going. I did that a couple times. God, how awesome is this, guys? What an experience, right? Yeah, he carries so much speed through there. That's really where I've been losing time in general. Uh-oh. Keep it on the black stuff, Kev. Wow, he's really early on the brakes, huh?
All right, slide past me again, mate.
Alright, around this corner. See, look, we're pulling away from him. Because he's trying, right? It's very, very exciting stuff. I'm like... I feel like I'm racing Gregor Hutu. Ah! Not saving the tires like Marcus was talking about. I'm doing back what I was doing yesterday, that four-wheel slide with a... God damn it. Oh boy. So there's no true brake marker for the first corner, is there?
No, if you watch YouTube, there's a lot of guys that get that turn one really wrong.
Like, honestly, I've been going by the darkness on the track. Oh, we don't need to slow down there, huh? That was the ping. That was the ping. Blame that on the ping.
All right, let's go back in the pits, and I'll jump in with you, if you like, and talk you around as you're driving.
Right side, clear.
Yeah, just be aware that if you do that, it's not exactly 1-to-1. You'll be like a second behind.
Yep, righto.
Okay. Well, I'm ready.
Righto, I'm with you.
Oh, it's interesting. Your car stayed there. I thought your car would have reset. Here we go. Serious driving only. Laser focus. Marcus Ambrose is watching. See where I was doing that yesterday. I was downshifting after I turned.
Yeah, try sticking this corner in third gear. I want to see you brake a bit earlier and turn in a bit later. That's all pretty good there. Just braking a bit too late. So on this one, brake early.
We are not Jimmy Broadbent. We are RutgersKev. That's for sure.
You should be in third around that one, I reckon.
I was too hung up on what gear to be in, not hung up on braking. Yeah, so I'm trying to float, like you say, and then I'm carrying too much speed.
Yeah, you're just braking too deep. That's better.
Amazing, it just totally tricks you. Like, I'm even braking sooner than I would normally do it.
Alright, just pull up, mate, and we'll jump back in my car.
Alright.
Okay, so when you come up on top of the hill here, I'm just going to back up for a minute.
And you get disqualified in a in a session that you set up. Let's find out. You're in VR, aren't you, Marcus?
I am. Can you see that post now?
But what? I didn't hear you. What post?
Oh, there's a telegraph pole there on the left-hand side. Can you see that? No.
Beyond...
Can you see the marshals?
Yeah.
Can you see the marshals box?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
oh, I see the telephone pole there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So when you're coming up the hill, you look for that telegraph pole, and you brake straight towards it. So you're off the outside of the track, heading up the hill, because you need to brake straight towards that post. And when you get to the top of the hill, then you start looking to the right, and you start looking for the apex. And the apex is actually right on this curb right here.
Oh wow! And then so you're totally off the brakes the whole way, the whole time you're turning.
Yeah, yeah. So you want to be trying to get to here, so you can go flat out down that hill. I'm just going to reset to just get rid of this black flag. So can you see that telegraph post in the distance up there?
Yes. Yeah. Now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So you'll be aiming towards that. So you'll be up here somewhere. And then when you're looking, you're actually off the brake now, trying to get off the brake, and you're trying to touch this. I did it again. Hang on.
Right click on your name and the standings if you have mouse enabled.
That's all right.
All right, because you're the admin, so you can clear your own flags.
Gotcha. Okay, let's start this again. Yeah, so you're floating the car in, you're really trying to make this curb on the inside if you can. Sometimes you just can't because you've messed it up a little bit, but ultimately you want to try to then be wide open throttle into this big compression, and you never have to worry about that sand trap on the outside because you won't overdrive it. I brake underneath the sign right here, underneath the bridge, and I'm actually turning early, and I want to hit the very start right here. I want to hit the very start of that inside curb.
I was not doing that.
Stay on that as long as I can. Second gear for me up here. Okay, so I'm going to be sitting on it as long as I can, and now I can actually see downhill. I can get wide open throttle quickly. That's the perfect entry there. Now this one here, it's a similar story where I'm braking. I'm trying to brake straighter, and see that marshal's post up in the distance.
Yeah,
that's actually your braking marker. So you're actually trying to brake towards that box.
Yeah, that's
exaggerating.
That's crazy different. It's like a whole new world.
Yeah, but I'm exaggerating it, okay? So yeah. I'm exaggerating the deal, but you're trying to brake straight and then get off the brake and turn. And this one here, in this car, it feels like it should be third gear or a really late downshift to second. You can run a bit of the inside rumble strip if you get the corner right, so you back that braking zone right up to make sure you don't overdrive the corner. Now this is another example of this straightaway's actually got a kink in it. It's slightly bent. So when you're braking, you've got to be careful because you're actually braking and turning at the same time. So I always give up the entry to this one, try and make sure that I at least am about here ready for throttle to come off the corner, second or third gear, depending on what you want to do. You just want a nice clean exit because the entry, you might give up a 1/10 or 2/10 a lap, but the exit, if you get it wrong, you can lose a second a lap because it leads onto such a long straightaway, right? So I'm always trying to protect my lap time by giving up the bits that don't really matter that much to make sure I get clean exits onto the long straightaways. Okay, this corner here, just generally I brake early, downshift it, and I float it across the middle. And then once I've floated across the middle, I know my front tyres aren't stressed out and I can really get aggressive on the throttle on the way out. This one here, I brake really early again. I'm actually aiming to try to get this much rumble strip. Okay, like you want to try to get as much of this inside rumble strip as you can without getting a penalty, one of those slowdowns or a 1X. This is another one of those examples where if you're on the outside if you're on the outside edge all the way around, you're actually braking and turning too much. So I actually pinched this bit off right here, and I'm actually aiming. See that gap in the trees up there? I'm sort of aiming towards that, just to the right of the marshal's post.
Amazing.
So I'm trying to brake straight, and then I get off the brake and I turn. And I'm looking to take a lot of rumble strip, about that much if I can. And to do that, you've got to back the corners right up. Okay.
Yeah, this is great stuff.
This little short shoot, you know, you were coming in third gear and then switching to fourth. Even if you hit the rev limiter right here, just stay in third, because it just, you know, you don't gain anything by switching to fourth. And then you've got to downshift back to third, and it can make it, you know, it makes it easy to make a mistake when you get in the next corner. So in this little shoot here, just stay in third.
I just see those lights on my dash, man. They trick me.
No, you can sit on the rev limiter for quite a while. Quite often in real racing, you'll set it up so you hit the rev limiter, and that's your cue to actually brake, so you don't over brake for the next corner. You know, don't overdrive for the next corner. This one here is another example where you brake really early, okay, downshift, and then you float off the brake now, float, 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 start creeping throttle. So you want to have that transition, a gap between the brake pedal and the throttle. A lot of people, you know, when they get into racing in real life or even in the sim, they want to be on either the brake pedal or on the gas. But in racing itself, you actually make more time by not touching the brake pedal and not touching the throttle. It's about just floating the car across the middle, trying to carry all that mid-corner speed as best you can. Obviously, you can't do it all the time, but where you can, you try to. So I'll just pick it up again here, and you get a feel for it. Always careful not to downshift too early.
Yeah, see how he's so violently to the right compared to me? I was like more in a straight line. Let's see if he stays in third here. He does. This is great. Great stuff. He says really early and he's at the 50 sign. Look, I'm like looking up at the gap in the trees now. Cool, huh?
We'll try and lay down a number here, so we've got something to work from. So I'm in the middle of the track here, looking for that cone outside the pole.
Yep. Yeah, he's doing exactly what you see like the world champions do, how they kind of go to the right before they go to the left. Every time I do that, I miss the apex. That's definitely something I need to work on. Yeah, he's still going to the 50 sign. He's just not slowing down as with the brakes compared to me. Man, it's gonna mess with my head so much. One more. Alright, so we're looking for that pole. He's actually like over past that first part of the hill before he even starts to slow down, right? I wonder if he's off throttle. He's basically at the 50 sign, but he's cutting it right where the curb starts. Load it out, bring it back over the Marshall stand. Yeah, that makes sense. That's not what I was doing, but that makes sense. Yeah, this setup's tricky in that corner there.
Not sure if that last corner should be in second or third. It's kind of either or, really.
Yeah, it's tricky with this setup.
There's something to chase anyway, mate. Another really good technique when you're struggling with tracks like this is just go to YouTube and just watch some in-car footage of other drivers, you know, either in the game or in real.
Yeah, but isn't that why people go to my channel? But what happens when I suck and the guy on YouTube sucks? That's what we need Marcus Ambrose for.
Righto, so go out there and try and cut some laps, see how you go with that, and I'll work on this setup a little bit if you.
Yeah, sure. If you wanted to stick around, Marcus, I actually thought that you would take off. If you're willing, sure.
I'll do a couple more for you. Yeah.
Great.
No problem.
I was telling the viewers when you were driving around just how lucky we are, and just how great of a game iRacing is. So
well, that's the thing.
So
it's just incredible.
Yeah, and that's what I want to, like, as somebody who's driven a lot on Brands Hatch, and obviously the track has changed and stuff, like, how real is it, you know, just from a visual perspective?
Well, the big thing with iRacing is that it is the only true sim out there that replicates what racing's all about. Now, I've raced all around the world in different cars. I've pretty much driven about 80% in real life, 80% of the cars that are actually in the service, and about 60-70% of the tracks, and all the tracks compare super well in realism for me, and especially now it's gone to this day-night transition, and you've got the dynamics changing so much. So the tyres are wearing, you know, really accurately. The tyre model's getting better and better. This day-night transition with the shade coming on the track and grip levels changing and everything. It's just quite amazing how far they've come. And I tell my mates, I get on here just because, you know, I'm a has-been. I've been out there and I've done the real thing, but I enjoy, you know, sharing the feelings of racing with my mates. And so we get online and we have a bit of a bash around and, you know, pick a few tracks here and there, and they've got no idea how close to real life it really is. So for me, it's about 80% of the real thing. For me, it's given me a lot of sensations. Now, I'm in a good rig. I've got a full motion setup. I've got a really fast computer with a 1080 card in it. You know, so, and I've spent the money to have a really good sim. It's given me all that feedback, but it is super comparable to the real thing. It's never going to quite get there to the real thing because you just can't replicate G-force.
So see how I downshifted there in the middle of the corner?
Of a football field, and you have, you know, a sled that slings around to try to, you know, mimic that G-force sensation. But the general vibe of what racing is all about and the way to go about winning races, it's all here in this sim, and it really is an amazing tool for an up-and-coming driver, and it's an amazing tool for people who otherwise wouldn't be able to experience, you know, racing like this, which is pretty close to the real thing.
Now, are you just saying that because they sponsored your car 10 years ago?
Well, I was the original one, wasn't I? So, yeah, we did a deal with them to put the iRacing logo on our car at Pocono for JTG Doherty Racing. I think it was way back in 2010. So I've known about the service, and I was actually a gamer on the service, and that's how the whole thing started back in the day. I had kids and a family and sort of wound back from iRacing for a long time, and when I re-engaged, when I moved back to Australia after retiring from NASCAR, I've just been blown away by how far they've come with the service and how realistic it really is. So I'm as big a fan of iRacing as anyone you'll find. If anyone asks me in the street, you know, what do you think of online racing, I'll tell them it's, you know, one of the best things that's happened to racing forever. Like, it's just an amazing experience to be able to put yourself with VR and a good rig, put yourself in tracks all around the world at any time of the day, literally in your own living room. It's pretty cool.
What was the first wheel you started with?
Yeah, so I just started with a real hack job set. So I can't even remember what the name of it was, but there's a machine down home, a little sort of cocoon you can buy called Hyper Stimulator. It's a terrible name, but that's what it's called. And basically just started off with a base package here when I moved home, just so I could have a race with my mates. And then I started digging around YouTube and saw what some people were doing with motion and thought I'd build my own. So I've just gone out and just picked away bits and pieces, and I've pretty much got all some experience gear as far as the wheel, direct drive wheel, and motion goes. And that's a great company. A little bit tricky to work with because you know, they're half a world away, but their gear is fantastic, and I'm happy to buy more when I come across it.
I would have just have loved to hear that you were using like a Logitech wheel.
I was probably even worse than that, to be honest, when I first started. But you quickly realise that hardware makes a big difference to your racing. So, I mean, if you want to race the 24-hour of Le Mans or the 24-hour of Le Mans, it's pretty easy to work it out. So hardware does make a difference. If you put yourself in good gear, you'll be better drivers, no doubt, just like in real racing.
Alright, we got a session best one going here. So when you first started, did you have VR? Well, obviously not, since you started 10 years ago. So what would you say the difference is between VR?
Yeah, so 10 years ago, I was obviously running just a desk unit, you know, with a roll chair that was sliding around, and I could never get the pedals to stick to the ground, and just the same old stuff that people do when they first start. But when I came back to Australia and in retirement here the last couple of years, just gradually been sort of building my rig and getting it the way I want it to, and the VR for me was just a game changer. It just felt like a game until you put the VR headset on, and all of a sudden it felt like you're actually in the cockpit. So definitely for me, VR is the way to go. I know the resolution's not awesome. As a real race car driver, you tend to look a lot further in the distance than many, and so the resolution, trying to see brake zones or brake markers in the distance, can be
not a good lap
tricky,
here
with VR, but the benefits certainly outweigh the negatives, in my opinion. And as VR sort of evolves and hopefully comes out with a better resolution package that you can buy out there in the common marketplace, I'll be buying it as soon as I can, because I just think that VR is the way to go. Does it make any faster? Maybe not. Does it make the realism better? Yeah, it totally does. So for me, I'm just trying to build a realistic rig and put my mates in it and let them have, you know, as real experience as they can get out of the service. So that's why I've gone full motion and gone VR and gone a good graphics card, because you've got to have the graphics turned up to make it feel right too.
Now, you don't have to name names, but you know, are there many former drivers that scratch their itch with this?
Yeah, some you know, some are very common, some are not. But definitely, I know a lot of people are using it. The NASCAR guys, obviously, you're racing that often throughout the year, and you're testing all the time and moving around the country doing sponsor appearances. Pretty hard for those guys to have any kind of consistency and to bother with it. But for up-and-coming guys, I think it's just a must-have device. I've actually built a couple of machines for amateur drivers trying to turn pro down here, and they're in it all the time. There might not be household names now, but you know, one or two of them out of 100 might well, you know, become the next superstar. You just never know.
And what about, you know, reformer drivers, retired drivers? This would seem like, because you just grew, I mean, you started this when you were very, very young with karting. I mean, this has been your whole life, so this must be a great way to get those juices flowing.
Yeah, look, you know, I'm retired from racing, and you know, I do miss it. I miss elements of it. I don't miss the travel and the commitment and fitness and all the stuff you've got to have that goes with it. So, you know, having a little machine in your living room, it's not in my living room, of course, it's in the shed, but to have a machine you can just jump on and sort of have a good race. I've been doing this week. I've done a couple of Nürburgring races, and that's just been fantastic because you know, that track's just a great track, and the drivers that are at the top or higher end of the service, you know, they're all pretty respectful and know how to get around there, and it definitely feels like you can, you know, get a kick out of it. I enjoy jumping on the service and having a go. Otherwise, I wouldn't bother with it. And I really, what I enjoy more is giving my feedback to guys like you, Kevin, who, you know, trying to get a bit better, or my mates down home here that are trying to get better.
Well, we keep screwing up. Hard to get better.
Share my knowledge of racing and help them in their own online careers. You know, I mean, it's just a game, but it's a pretty cool one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's for sure. It's the only game.
Yeah, I guess the guys racing for 100,000 to win the main series in peak or whatever. I mean, it's not a game for them. It's the real deal, isn't it? So I don't think that you need to compare, you know, what's it like versus real versus not real. I just think there's online racing and there's real racing now. And, you know, I'm happy to jump in online racing and race guys and feel like it's a real deal. It's a real thing.
That's what I was talking to Richie Hearn about. He just, you know, he wants to win, right? So he treats this, doing iRacing gets those competitive juices flowing. And Richie Hearn says that he treats a major series race just like he used to, you know, in his mind, how he used to treat real life. Just
yeah, and that's
the competition level.
Yeah, and that's absolutely true for me too. And, you know, Richie's a heck of a driver. I mean, I was a big fan of Richie's back in the day. He was, you know, really cutting his teeth in the IndyCar whilst I was growing up. So I've got a lot of respect for Richie, and the fact that he's on there and he's happy to talk about it and come on and have a go. I mean, that's what it's all about. You know, it's just great that he can, you know, get a kick out of it, just like, you know, I do down home. And it's just a lot of fun, and it does definitely. The more it evolves and the more they work on this day-night transition, and they work on hopefully rain coming and all the other stuff in the tyre model, it needs to be obviously continually tweaked and improved. Who knows where it's going to get to, but right now I'm a real fan of it and happy to be part of it and sort of help people if I can be better racers online. That's all I'm trying to do with you here tonight, Kev.
Well, hopefully it's working. Yeah, it's really working with the lines. Like, I would never think to take some of the lines that you took without you telling me. It's just a question of putting the whole thing together. And I actually don't have your lap time up. Do you know what lap time you ran?
Yeah, so I've done a 23.49 and you've done a 24.24.
Okay, so a second. All right.
Yeah, but we'll work on that.
Well, it's coming right now. Laser focus. As I miss the apex. Let me ask you this. When you brake, do you know, like, what percentage of the bar is filling up?
Say that again, mate. I missed you.
When you go into a braking zone in this car and you brake, right? How much of the bar is filling up? Can you see your input bars when you drive?
No, I just turn all that stuff off. I don't have any delta times or any junk on there. I try to just not bother with that. I just go on feel. But I've got it down here on the bottom left. I'll have a bit of a look for you now. Because
I think, like, you know, one of the things could be just I'm not braking hard enough.
Oh, it's more about feel. So, you know, at the start of the brake zone, you want to be max brake pressure, and then very quickly you want to be sort of backing that pressure off, because as the car slows down, you've got less downforce on it, and so it's going to lock wheels easier. So maximum to start, and then just start gradually pulling your foot back until you get to where you've got no brake at all, and that's what trailing brake is all about.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm getting the max brake pressure. That's been a habit with me for a long time. Alright, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to reset, turn the delta bar off, and try again. Because I don't like racing with Delta Bar on either. The only reason why I do it is for the viewers. One thing I learned in my 10 years of experience, to go fast, the trick is to try not to go fast.
That's it.
Let me ask you this. So, since I've went to VR, you know how you're supposed to look up the track? That's driving 101. It seems like every single corner, though, I look down at the apex. Like I'm at the apex, and my eyes go right to the apex. Are you ever doing that, or are you always looking up?
Yeah, so definitely that's a good point. So real race car drivers, no, in fact, they look a lot further out the distance than an average driver. So when I'm in the brake zone or looking for the brake zone, I'm trying to find my brake marker way out there in the distance. As soon as I feel like I've reached my brake marker on the brakes, I'm looking for the apex. I'm looking to where I want to be turning in. And as soon as I'm actually turning in, I'm looking for my exit. So I'm always sort of jumping forward to the next thing with my eyes. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. It's something I'm not doing though. Like I'm kind of just assuming that I'm going to make the exit, and I'm looking down at the apex. Not something I did when I had triples, but I'm doing it a lot in the year I've had VR.
Yeah, so in oval racing, if you look at the wall, you're going to hit it. Okay, so you actually don't want to be, when you're up running the fence at Bristol or Michigan or wherever, if you actually look at the wall, you just get sucked right into it. You need to be looking way out in the distance. And you can run the fence all day. So it's just a mental thing to get comfortable with, is that when you're at the apex in the middle of the corner, you need to be looking at your exit. When you're in the brake zone, you need to be looking at your corner entry. Like that's just, your eyes look to the next thing whilst your body's doing whatever it's doing at the time. So if your foot's braking because you're in the braking zone, your eyes need to be looking at the turn-in point.
All right, so viewers, let that be a lesson. When you see the VR go down, that means I'm driving bad. All right, so if you see the VR stay up, that's good. Yeah, see, I had the Delta Bar turned off. That's the fastest lap. Just by feel, just driving feel.
Yeah, that Delta Bar, it's a sucker. You know, you keep looking at it, trying to make time. You know, if you've lost time in turn one, you're never getting it back. So you're better off just forgetting about it and not running the Delta Bar at all. That's what I tend to have the most success with. Even in real racing, you know, you used to be able to have the predicted lap time on your dash, and I never used to run it. I used to always try and take it off, just because I didn't want to see it.
I wish I could turn it off too. Yeah, that's one of my. I like the cars where you can change the dash. Like in the IndyCar, like you have different pages of the dash.
Yeah. I'm just going through your setup here too, mate, and I've noticed that you had traction control and ABS on max. So I've actually turned those down, right down, so you don't want those on all the way. You want to have it as least as you can get away.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if he does that because he's making setups for the masses. Oh, look, there's a car on the track. All right, you want me to reset and load that one up?
No, it's okay. I'm just doing a bit of a test and tune here. Let me get a lap in.
Okay. There's Marcus Ambrose, guys, over there. So Marcus, what was your best track in the NASCAR circuit?
Oh, definitely road racing was my thing.
Well, yeah, I was thinking ovals. So of course, Watkins Glen's your favorite. I was thinking ovals. Would it be Loudon?
Yes. No, definitely not Loudon. I think that I was always better on the concrete track. So Bristol, Dover, Nashville were all good ones for me. I think it just, I'm not sure why that was the case, but I tended to run better on a high bank concrete track for whatever reason.
When you first started in Cup, it was the COT, right?
Yeah, that's right. It was actually a lot of fun to drive that car. It wasn't a very attractive car, was it?
No, I'm really the type that doesn't care about that stuff because I'm not a gearhead. But yeah, all the feedback was, they hated it.
Yeah, it had that funky wing on the back, and it had very little side force, down force compared to what the Cup guys were used to at that time. So for me, just coming in, I didn't know any better, so I was quite happy with it. But when they started going back to the big blades at the back and getting side force back in the cars, they certainly were a lot faster car to drive and probably less fiddly with the setups.
Speaking of faster to drive, I think I read you set one of the fastest laps at Michigan.
Yeah, I did. I had the record there for a while.
Now, did you have any idea that you were going that fast? Like, is there any kind of difference that you could tell when you're in the seat?
Oh no, the track had just been repaved. It had basically one groove right at the top of the fence on the way to turn one, and at Michigan at 220 odd mile an hour on the way to turn one, that was definitely hair-raising stuff. You had no time to save the car because the tyre was that hard at that time because the speeds were so high. Goodyear bought a really hard tyre. If the car twitched at all, you're basically going to eat the fence. So yeah, it was a good day. I think the race didn't work out as well as qualifying did that day, but a lot of fun anyway. Good memories.
One thing that a lot of people may not know is that you started in the Craftsman trucks, and I saw you had like a 5-year plan. And when you think about what you did compared to some people that came over from open wheels, specifically Dario, that really worked out because if most people forget that Dario Franchitti completely flamed out in NASCAR, and it's because he just jumped in over his head. Just talk about that and talk about because it does seem like the young drivers are doing the same thing as you. We don't see a Joey Logano jumping straight up. We do see them going through the ladder system. And I assume you think that's the way to go.
Yeah, you got to start young, and you can't go too fast too early, if you like. You got to learn your ropes in the lower categories. Look, I was definitely naive going to the States and trying to take on NASCAR because they are the best drivers in the world, in my opinion. The guys that are running at the Cup level, the top end of NASCAR. Incredible drivers, incredible people, all really nice people generally, just with super skills and mad talent. And so for me, I was on a 5-year plan just to go over there and experience NASCAR and experience America, all the great things that America is. So, to last 9 years like I did was just awesome and loved every minute of it. If I was to do it all over again, I'd say that, you need to start racing early and run all the junior categories, learn the ropes, and you know, learn, make all your mistakes before you get to the big levels. When you get to the big level, they don't put up with bad performances for long. You're going to get fired.
Now, do you think people should be hopping around to all different cars like you did, or should they just stick with ovals if that's the goal?
Oh, it's whatever you want to do. You know, like there's no set path in racing, is there, to success? It's really what do you want to get out of it? Do you want to just experience different cars in different countries and different series, or do you want to, you know, be the very best at one thing and just fully focus on that? You can't do it all, that's for sure, but you can certainly move around a bit in different categories, different countries, different styles of racing. You know, I'm a race fan. At the end of the day, it's what I love to do. I love to race and experience fast cars, and that's what got me to America and got me to experience NASCAR and all the good things that came from that. So, I mean, if you're racing, you're lucky anyway, aren't you? So, just wherever you end up, it's a good thing if you're racing and getting paid for it. All right, mate, I've changed the car a bit. How about you come in and try this out?
All right, I will, because I messed up that corner. All right, to change the setup, I actually can't show it. So I'm going to change the scene. It's definitely helped me, you know, it's helped me think about things you wouldn't normally think about. One thing I've noticed about racing in general is that if you do something wrong, you don't even know it, and you will just keep going around in circles just doing the same thing wrong over and over and over again. You really do need, you know, at least a YouTube video. I see what you're saying about the brakes here. You really do need, you know, at least something, you know, and that's why I like the virtual racing school, because you can go there. I see what you're saying here. This is totally different. Because you can go there and you can see like the top driver's inputs, and you can see like, oh, I'm supposed to be braking there, or I'm turning in too early, you know, and there's no way to know that unless you look at the data. If you just go out there and try to be a one-man army, you're just going to keep repeating the same mistakes. That's why in the last, what, 3 years, we've had Craig's Setup Shop, we've had VRS, now we have Pure Racing School. There's a lot of tools out there for people that want to get better. The traction control, I'm just not skilled enough. I gotta turn that back up. So you basically have it off. You have it at 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not skilled enough. Maybe not traction control, but ABS. I gotta have that on. Let's try it. Gotta challenge ourselves. What percentage force feedback do you run on your direct drive?
90.
Wow. And that's what real is. I mean, it feels real.
Yeah, it feels about right on turn in. If you got to correct the car, you know, it's a bit tricky to feel like it's not too heavy when you're trying to go opposite lock. But the good thing about sim experience gear is you can change it all if you know what buttons to press and, you know, what sliders to slide.
Not skilled enough to do this with traction control off. So you don't have to say how you've done, but have you done a Bathurst endurance in the sim? You don't have to say how well you did.
You're talking in the service?
Yeah, in the service.
Yeah, look, I just don't. I don't do that well. because I just don't give the time to set the cars up and do the training. I'm the kind of guy that jumps in with 30 seconds left to go.
Right, I'm the same way.
Session closes.
Yeah. But you have done them.
Yeah, I normally do. Like if we're going to race, I normally do down in Australia anyway. To get the really good drivers and everything, you've got to be, in the service in Australian time in the middle of the day or in the morning. So it's a bit hard to sort of justify taking the day off work to go iRacing, isn't it? So we tend to do down in Australia. We've got really good hosted sessions and good series. So there's a really good sort of dirt speedway league. I like to run that a bit. There's a really good ANZ it's called ANZ car. That's a really good league too. I muck around in that a little bit. But I don't get on service that much in pure racing terms. I just sort of get on and pack around with mates a bit.
So like the Bathurst 12 hour or the Bathurst 1000, you haven't done it yet?
No, I haven't done any of that stuff before. I've done one majors race, which I really enjoyed. That was last year in the camel cars, so that was a lot of fun. And I probably will do, if I'm going to do something major, I'll do it the major series. I reckon that's a really nicely run deal. Mike does a really nice effort on that, and it's a high quality event and series. So I'd probably do those because I can't commit to the official stuff on iRacing. Right, have I messed you up there with that car set or not?
I don't think it's a set. I think it's traction control and the ABS. But
well, let's go back. Let's just go back real quick. Let's just go back real quick to your setup. Okay, and we'll do a couple of small things.
What you're saying about like turn in? Yeah, it's turning in a lot better. It's just like getting on the throttle without traction control.
Yeah, so we've got to be patient. But let's just go back to your setup. Okay, and let's just run together.
Okay. Me first, you first.
You go first, I'll watch you.
You mean laugh at me?
No, I think you're doing really well.
No, thanks. I'm just teasing. I had to make sure I was on the right scene. So I peeked out of my headset there. It's a lot of stuff us streamers have to worry about. Alright. See, now it's weird, because now I'm used to having one traction control. So now the car feels heavier. That's another thing I would just never think about. I would just load the setup and go. I'm the same way as you. The kids' bedtime is like 8:30. So by the time I get downstairs, it's 9. Then I do like a 30-minute workout, have a quick shower, and then I start racing at 10. So I get like no practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just not slowing down enough. This feels weird.
You're just braking too late.
Alright, laser focus. Did that thing where I downshifted a second, right at the apex. Man, that's 2 laps in a row I missed that corner. All right, focus. Still pretty amazing to think about how far iRacing has come in 10 years. Like, you say you mostly do leagues and stuff. Like they've only had leagues for 5-6 years. 2012, I think.
Yeah, the leagues are great because you can get like-minded people together and guys that like a certain type of car or series or rules. It's a really great initiative that iRacing have done. You know, it's got something for everyone in this service. You know, from the rookies to pros, you know. It's got a place for everyone to go to. It's good.
Yeah, honestly, though, that's one of the complaints. There's too many things, so we're all spread out. But for an Australian, I'm sure it's great.
I don't think it's too spread out. There's just not enough users. We just need more than 75,000 customers.
You hear that, people? We need to sign up for iRacing. Use that promo code. That's in the description.
I think you're driving pretty well here, Kevin.
Yeah, we're on a personal best here this lap. Still not a second, though. I was almost 3/10 faster. That's me thunderfooting it.
That's right. Jump on the back of my car here and go around a bit. What was your last lap time there?
23.8.
Okay, just stay in my wheel tracks. I'll go about 80% so you can just get the lines right on all the corner entries. Just stay right on my wheel tracks, okay?
I'll do my best. It's that throttle on. Just gotta remember to ease into it.
Alright, stay on my wheel tracks here.
I was in the wrong gear there, I guess.
Okay, we'll do it one more time here. Stayed right on my wheel tracks. All right, we'll pick it up here and do a fast one.
Yeah, that wasn't fast. Here we go. I'm on the brakes way before him there. I was too scared. I was too scared to rear end him. Oh. Marcus Ambrose going wide. Maybe let me catch back up. Session best.
That's a pretty good lap there.
And now we're 3/10s up on it because I didn't blow turn one.
Another good one.
Yeah, it's another 4/10s. I was a little too aggressive through that last corner. You're making me work up a sweat.
Yeah, you're working hard there. What do you think of that, mate? Has that helped you?
Yeah, you know, it's just the mental gymnastics of braking where you're braking. Like that's obviously the way to do it. And then you see that delta bar go green, and you're like, huh, I'm braking sooner but going faster.
Yeah, and over the course of a long run too, it's got to help your tyres by doing that. There is a disadvantage too when you brake early like that, is that guys around you tend to brake late. So you've got to really watch your rear guard, if you like, because you can get run over, especially at the start of a race, where guys are coming in all hot and heavy into the corner and just run all over you. So that's the only word of warning there. So
at the start of the race, I'm normally braking sooner anyway. I'm too afraid of punting somebody.
Yeah, that's
the only thing, I couldn't get as wide as you entering turn 1.
Yeah, there's a balance up there about sort of giving up the corner and then floating it in without it sliding, because it's a crown of the hill there. So by turning in lower to the curb, there's a bit more banking there. It doesn't flatten off. Whereas when you run up where I was, you've got to get over that sort of flat. It's almost the crest of a hill right there. Once you get over that, though, it gives you a much better run off. So it's a bit of a trick there, but certainly it's not worth much lap time, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. But that's pretty good, Kevin. There, you're 2/10 faster than me, so I reckon we could almost leave it at that, couldn't we?
Sure. I mean, this has been more than I expected, so thank you. Well, this has been great, Marcus. Can I invite you on the podcast so we can talk about general iRacing news one of these weeks?
Yeah, sure, mate. Look, I'm a fan of iRacing. I'm a fan of people who are in the community of iRacing. I just think it's just a great thing for people to be doing. It's a way that people can, you know, race without having to spend a fortune. People who wouldn't otherwise have any opportunity to race can come online and race. So I'm a fan of what iRacing is, and yeah, I'd love to, you know, talk to you from time to time, mate, and give you my 5 cents worth, but it's not worth much. I'm a casual iRacer. I'm certainly not a serious one, but I do enjoy building my rig and building rigs for other people and sort of making it as realistic as what I remember racing was. So, you know, I've raced a lot of these cars all around the world, and I'll try to get my rig and my simulator set up so then it mimics that as much as possible. And I reckon it's quite amazing, the service, and who knows where it's going to go. This day-night transition's just been incredible change for me personally. It's really brought the races to life, and no 2 laps the same now, you see. And that's what real racing is all about. Real racing, especially on ovals and things like that, you're always chasing grip, you're chasing shadows in the track, you're chasing weather conditions, you're chasing aero, and I think iRacing is just doing an amazing job with, you know, the people they've got there to make decisions on the competition side and the realism side in the game. I know some of them personally. They're just doing a fantastic job on making it as realistic as you possibly can. So I'm a big fan of iRacing, mate. Big fan of yours. I like your podcast. I like people who are engaged in the space. I like listening to you when I'm trying to do my exercise. And yeah, I'd love to come on from time to time and give you a hand.
Well, it's been great, Marcus. Thank you. Yeah, if you want to come on and give me a hand, Overland Park, however you say it, is coming up on the schedule. I'm totally lost there. So.
Yeah, mate, we can do it all. I mean, if you need a hand, let's do it. If you want some advice on other bits and pieces, I'm certainly not a professional in iRacing. I might have been a professional driver, but I've got a lot to learn in the service as well. So maybe you can help me.
I'll teach you how to save the car by tapping the brake and the gas at the same time. That's what you need. You slam on the brake and slam on the gas. That's how you save the car. That's my simulator knowledge.
There's actually a whole podcast show on learning how to spin, I reckon, especially on the ovals. I see a lot of guys online racing where they could actually save the car from getting damaged if they learn how to spin down the banking, you know, or learn not to overreact and try and save a slide, just trying to spin it to the bottom and save your car for another part of the race, you know, because it's there's a real skill, mate, in learning how to spin without killing yourself. And I think you've had a lot of experience and practice at that, haven't you?
With spinning, sure, especially on the ovals. Spinning and yelling. All right, well, hey, if you're watching this on YouTube, leave a topic in the comments that you think you want Marcus to talk about. Don't ask what's your favorite racetrack. Let's talk about like general racing, you know, topics. Like what you know, entry into pit lane under green. That's something there's a lot of time gain and loss there.
How about you practice that, Kevin? That'll always help.
Practice pitting, you're saying?
Yeah, that's always important.
Yeah, but I got like 5 minutes of practice before the race. So you supposed me to pit? I got to figure out where the corners are first.
There you go.
That's
right,
why
mate,
I love the tracks that I know. Well, then we have to donk it, Ambrose. We can't just quit now. You got to donk. See? All right. So
there you go.
All right. Bye. Thanks, Marcus. Bye.
Thanks, Kevin. Cheers, mate.
That's the end of my show. Donk.